there's really about three things that we ask of students. The first is report any behaviors that are suspicious or dangerous or concerning. And it might be a comment somebody made in class. It might be something you see on social media. It might be something that you saw. And what we ask is, we prefer, if you can bring it to an administrator or a school resource officer, that's best. But if you can't find one, or you don't feel comfortable going to, find an adult on this campus you do feel comfortable sharing it with, and share it with them. We get lots of tips and concerns and leads that we track down on a regular basis. Most of them turn out to be a non-issue, and that's fine. Where we're happy to spend time chasing down something that ends up not being an issue or concern. What you don't want is to have an issue or concern that nobody knows about that we can't act on. So that's the first thing, is reporting any kind of behaviors that you think are suspicious or dangerous. The second is, in an actual emergency situation, you be calm, be flexible, and follow your teacher's directions. And what I mean by that is that sometimes what we train for might not be what we end up with. And I'll give you an example. About 16, 17 years ago, I was teaching in middle school. I was in a portable teaching. And we actually had a fire on the school campus. There was another portable in another part of the campus that was on fire. Now what we're trained for was, there's a fire, what do? You evacuate the building, right? But that's not what the fire department wanted us to do, because what that would have done is put students evacuating out into the parking lots right around where the portable was that was on fire. And so what they said they wanted us to do was move the students from the portables into the building where they would be safer. And any cars that were around that, they wanted those cars moved because they have gas tanks and there's flammable too. So it was a little bit different than what we always drilled for, but it made common sense. And so it's just kind of being mindful about that. In a lockdown or lockout situation, you may end up going into a classroom that's not one of your teachers. But that's where you need to be, because you need to get to the closest place you can for safety. And the third thing is that if we're in a actual lockdown event or lockout situation, take a moment, call or text your parents and tell them that you're safe. That's the number one concern as a parent that we have. Because the parents will hear the school went on lockdown or something happened, and the first thing they want to know is that my child is safe. That's the first thing I want to know for my children. And so take a moment and just text them and call them, say, hey, we got put on a lockdown, I'm in Mr. So-and-so's or Miss So-and-so's class, I'm safe, I'll call or text you back when I know more. And that just keeps your parents calm down too. And anything we can do to help people calm is a good thing. So next steps for us, we're going to be doing more drills as we go through the month of March. And some of those were already regularly scheduled to happen, and there's a couple more that we've added onto the venue. Yesterday we got to do our March fire drill out the way. Wasn't planning on having it then, but we had a faulty smoke detector and went off several times, so we can actually count that for our March drill. We'll be practicing a lockout drill, a lockdown drill, and a shelter-in-place drill during the month of March. And typically you don't want to do a lot of announcing and publicizing that something's a drill, because sometimes when people think, oh, this is a drill, then maybe they don't take it as seriously, or they're just not as vigilant about it. But given, I think, people's heightened anxiety right now, and the fact that we're trying to be sure we're practicing for learning right now, not so much for mastery, because everybody feels, I think, a little rusty on some of these. So we're going to do a lot of prompting. We're going to tell teachers well ahead of time, tell students well ahead of time. We're going to have a lockdown drill on this date. Remember, when we do a lockdown drill, these are the procedures. Same thing with a lockout drill. Same thing with a shelter-in-place drill. We'll review the procedures and be sure people know when this is coming, and then announce when it's actually happening. Because we want people to, we're not trying to create anxiety for people. We want people to feel calm. We want people to feel confident that when an emergency happens, we have a plan, we're going to follow the plan, and the plan should work.